Memories of teaming with Davey Boy Smith. What was Davey Boy like?
He's a character. What a funny guy to travel with, and I mean, talk about a good sense of humor. I stayed with him and his family in England, and we were there one time and touring with the WWF, and at the time, and we drove in his car, and his mom and dad and his sister, his whole family stayed at his house, and just a super witty kind of river kind of funny guy, man. Right. Great guy. Davey Boy, great, good-hearted guy too. If he's your friend, once he's your friend, he'd do anything for you. He's a great guy.
What are your memories about Davey Boy?
Davey Boy was he worked hard. He was a small guy when he come in there, and then he started getting bigger. And the bigger he got, the more the Harts didn't like him, even though he was married to one of the Harts. But he kept getting bigger, and they resented him coming in there and then going to Japan, and him and Dynamite going to Japan, making great money and all that. They didn't like that, So they didn't like him, They would try to hold him down and all. And then he got the break, Stu evidently sold Calgary to Vince, and they all went to Vince.
Memories of Davey Boy Smith.
Jethro Bodine. Good guy. He used to drive me crazy when I worked with him because he always had this bad habit of pulling his trunks up. Like you do something to him, he's supposed to be selling, he's pulling up his knee pads, pulling up his trunks. And I go, Davey, you can't do that. You're selling. You're supposed to be injured. You lay there, you just let the guy, and then when you get up, you're making a comeback on him, then you adjust whatever you have to adjust. But you can't be laying in the middle of the thing, pulling your trunks up, whatever. But he asked me one day, he says, why you always call me Jethro? I said, you know Jethro Bodine from the Beverly Hillbillies? Yeah. So you remind me of him.
What are your memories of your matches with the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy and Dynamite?
God, they were easy, weren't they?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I have nothing but, I've always asked that many times. I have nothing but positive remarks about those guys, especially with Dynamite. Dynamite, for his size, he was so dynamic and so explosive and so acrobatic and fiery that I think people actually forgot that he was so small. And then Davey Boy, even physically as big as he wasn't a big guy either. But they worked so good together. They had the power with Davey Boy, the excitement. I don't know how you could have a bad match with those guys.
No, when they'd walk out to the ring, they had as big a pop as what we had, and you get two teams like that together. Everything that you did, the people were with it. It was fun, and it was easy.
Yeah, and there again, there are very few teams that we worked with that weren't as giving in the match as we were. They wanted the match to be good, because if the match is good, the entertainment value is terrific. People are going to buy more tickets.
So they're all for business.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, and a lot of teams don't trust the team that you're working with because they think, they'd eat you alive.
Gobble them up. Yeah.
These guys that worked with us, we would do whatever we wanted to do, and it was fine for them because we knew it was for the match. And that's the respect that we had, I think, with all the other tag teams.
And when it's their turn to shine, they would shine too.
Great memories about those fellas because we had some awesome matches. And Brutus, by that time, was really becoming a good partner, and he was carrying his own pretty well. So by the time we got one of the Bulldogs, who worked really hard and intense, both of them at the time, and we had some great matches. I remember in Canada and Toronto, we sold out. This is like one of the first times a tag team match had sold out the Maple Leaf Gardens. We sold that one out and went up to Montreal the next night and wrestled Dino Bravo and the guy that's Haku or Ming now. It was somebody else then, but that was Dino's partner. And we sold that place out to Forum. It was like unbelievable business we did.
Now, in Dynamite's book, he was quoted as saying that he was asked to do a job to you guys and refused. Do you remember that? It was for the belts. He didn't want to drop them to you guys for whatever reason.
You know, that's news to me. Maybe that's why we never got the belts back. Because the plan was, and first of all, we took the belts off Wyndham and Rotunda. Well, we only had one match. Philadelphia Spectrum. And Wyndham, we did the deal with the cigar in the eye and all that kind of stuff. And we thought we were off and running with those guys. And Wyndham ended up, I remember the night because we were in Baltimore and we were driving these Lincoln Continentals around and banging each other, and everybody was drunk and having a good time. The next morning, Wyndham was on the plane and went home and quit.
What was the reasoning behind that?
I have no idea. He just quit and wouldn't come back. So then they flew in Danny Spivey to take Wyndham's place, and it didn't work. And so George Scott came to me and he got, the Bulldogs were underneath, and Hart Foundation. They were all underneath tag teams, just filling in the cards, first, second, third match or whatever. He goes, I want you the guys to put the Bulldogs over on television in a non-title match up in Poughkeepsie. And we did it, and they got over like gangbusters. And we went around with them everywhere, and we did real, real well. Eventually dropped the belts to him in WrestleMania 2. And the plan was to do the rebound and put the belts back on us. And I never realized, I thought it was because Vince didn't want to do it. I know, it didn't happen anyway. It might have been because of my partner Brutus. He didn't have too much respect for, because of Brutus being brought up with Hogan. And a lot of people didn't like Brutus because of that. But I think Brutus is a hell of a guy. And it's hard for me to believe that, because we had some knockdown, drag-out fights. And I'm certainly, I don't think it was a reflection on me. But, that's news to me that he didn't want to do that.
At the time also, coming in, which was kind of rare that WCW at that time would sign somebody from WWF, was the British Bulldog, which is kind of rare because usually it was the other way around, guys going over. And he did those skits, the vignettes with the exploding boats. And what do you remember of doing all those things with that?
Just that they were a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
It was hot, and I burned very easily. I mean, for Sting and Davey Boy and Sid, they put some lotion on there, getting tan,
Yeah.
and I'm out there frying. Guys, I'm going to get blistered here. Well, one more shot. And I finally said, no more shots,
Yeah.
This isn't, we're not trying to get an Academy Award. I'm going to get that shredder because I'm going to get blistered.
Yeah.
I just left. And I don't know. I believe a lot of times I was misinterpreted, by doing things like that. But I mean, it was kind of like, at that moment, it was survival.
I got to meet one of the two greatest ribbers in the world. I mean, it was Davey Boy and Dynamite Kid, which Dynamite Kid and I became real close. And I have a lot of respect for Dynamite Kid. I mean, the guy became a cripple at 34 again in his life to this business, make things look real.
Yeah.
I mean, he was tough as nails. I got a lot of respect for him. And, he's paralyzed from the waist down now. And he's a young man.
Yeah. Did he ever rib you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the brutal ribs, like shaving my head and housing on me up and stuff and pissing in my bag and stuff like that. No, Tommy didn't do that to me. Tommy knew not to do that with me.
What are your memories of your first real series with the Bulldogs, Dynamite and Davey Boy?
Well, to be honest, they had no plans for us. They threw us together like they throw together just a bullshit team. They had no expectations for us. And they wanted big plans for the Bulldogs. And that's all I remember talking to Dynamite and Davey. I said, if we have good matches with you guys, maybe they'll actually give us a little bit of a push.
Can you put a word in for us?
As a matter of fact, Dynamite used to refer to me and Jim as the Push Brothers. Remember that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was like a joke.
Give them a push.
And but we went out with the Bulldogs when they were working with Goulet and different guys, different the first and second match. The Bulldogs were trying to get over, but nobody could really do their stuff. And when George put us together. One of the reasons they put us together was to put us with Bulldogs. And I think George even put the question to me, posed it to me, like, can you guys work with the Bulldogs? Can you have a match with them? And I said, yeah, I can have a match with them, for sure. We can tear the house down with these guys. And I remember the first night we were in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. George Scott drove all the way down from Connecticut just to see the Bulldogs work. It was one of their first, maybe their first weekend, just to see them. It was me and Jim. And we went out there and we just totally blew them away, blew the whole building away. We just left that whole place, just came. And the Bulldogs were a big part of that, and all the shit that they were doing that nobody could believe that they were diving off the top and all that stuff. And we'd worked with them, Jim had worked with them, and I'd worked with them so much that we kind of knew all their style.
In Calgary, yeah.
And so when we came back, the first night was, I'd say our first match with the Bulldogs was a pretty, like a 9 out of 10 match.
Right.
But they only got better and better. Within about a week of working with the Hart's Foundation Bulldogs, not only did the Bulldogs go, let's stick with these guys because they're making us. We knew all their stuff. We knew how to make those guys. And at the same time, me and Jim were like, let's stick with these guys because we can. The four of us can just keep building and building and building. And we did that. We just kept going higher and higher and higher because we just all had this chemistry together.
After you started working with the Bulldogs on those house shows and everything, did some of those veterans that were kind of like keeping you down and everything, did they have a different opinion of you guys, or they still had the same kind of like?
Anybody resent you guys because you guys were having great matches too?
I don't think so. A lot of times the wrestlers don't watch the matches. They only hear the matches. But I think a lot of the wrestlers were surprised. Like, I know a lot of wrestlers are going, who's out there?
You can hear the crowd.
The pops.
Yelling.
Like, who is out there?
Yeah.
Right. Yelling.
What's going on?
I can remember when me and Jim wrestled, and it's on the DVD. Me and Jim wrestled the Killer Bees, Madison Square Garden. Mm-hmm. And I can remember everybody was going, who's out there? Like, the place was just popping. You could hear the place going. Like, the second match, 20-minute Broadway.
All right.
Bees. And that's one of the reasons I put it on that DVD, was because we blew the roof off that place. We just stole a show that night. It was the second match with two teams that already meant anything. And when we came back to the curtain, I can remember Hogan and all kinds of guys going. Like, they couldn't believe it was the Hart Foundation and the Killer Bees. It was supposed to be some big draw out there. We just had such a great hardcore style.